Hello everyone. In this video, we will study about our fifth chapter, industrial sickness. As we have already discussed about the first chapter, which is the introduction part to our subject, corporate restructuring. After the first chapter, we have dived into the fifth chapter directly because this chapter is really easy to understand. And after this, we will move on to second, third, and fourth. So what is industrial sickness? Before starting the industrial sickness concept, we have to understand what is a sick unit. So according to Lehman, sick unit is one which is not healthy. So what does he mean by not healthy? He means a company or a unit which is not performing well, which is earning no return, which is not providing any dividends to the shareholders. In nutshell, he has given a term called as not healthy. So a firm or a unit which is not healthy, that is called as sick unit according to Lehman. Next, to an investor, what is a sick unit? A unit which skips the dividend. So as the investor, he expects the dividend as he or she has deployed the amount in it, right? But if he or she doesn't get back the return in the form of dividend, so that would be considered as a sick unit to that investor, right? Next we have to an industrialist. What is a sick unit to an industrialist? A unit which is making losses. A firm or a unit which is not earning any surplus or profit, which means a unit which is not making any which is making which are making losses, so that are considered as sick unit. Next, to a banker, what is a sick unit? Which incurred cash losses previous year and likely to repeat performance in current and following years. To a banker, a sick unit is a unit which is incurring cash losses for the previous year and for the current year and for the further years. Following years means for the further years. So a unit which is incurring cash loss for the current year, previous year as well as for the further years, that would be considered as a sick unit to a banker. So here the definition of sick unit given by the Sick Industrial Companies Act 1985, that is called as SICA. So when an industry performs poor or when industry underperforms its activities and functions and getting loss that is equals to or more than net worth, which means it incurs losses equals to the deployed amount in the business, or the losses may be equal or more than to the net worth of the company. Default in payment of default in default in debt or loan payment 180 days. What does this mean? It means that industries which fails to pay the loan or they make the payment more than 180 days, or what we can say, they take the time of 180 days to repay the loan that they have taken. Next we have here is registration of 7 years. What does this mean? According to SICA Act, industries who have registered themselves for 7 years would be considered as sick units, and these units are mostly SSI units. SSI units here stands for small scale industries, like for example here they have given cotton, jute, sugar. So this is the definition given by the SICA, that is a company or an industry which performs poor, it gets losses which are equal to or more than net worth, default in payment of the debt which takes more than 180 days, and registration for 7 years. Mostly the SSI are considered as sick units. Okay, here we have one more definition. A unit can be called as sick unit when incurs cash losses for 1 year and is likely to continue incurring cash losses for the current year as well as for the following years, which means that a company is incurring cash losses for the 1 year, which means past year, previous year, and it is going to incur the same cash loss for the current year and for the further years. Following years means ಮುಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಅವರ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಇನ್ಕರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ರೈಟ್? and a unit which has imbalance in its financial structure, that is current ratio is less than 1:1, right? The financial structure of the company, that is current ratio of any company, should be 2:1, right? We have studied this in previous sem that the current ratio should be 2:1. That is the ideal ratio, which means that current assets should be twice of the current liabilities for sufficient working capital after meeting current liabilities, right? But here a company or a unit which has the current ratio less than 1, not even close to, but it is less than 1:1, that is why it is considered as the sick unit. Okay, in nutshell what we can say, a unit which is incurring cash losses for the previous year, current year, and also going to perform the same for the following years, and its current ratio is less than 1:1. These kind of industries are called as sick unit. So next we have here is signals and symptoms of sick industries. First we will study about the signals of industrial sickness, and then we will move on to the symptoms of industrial sickness. Okay, so before an industrial unit becomes sick, signs of sickness appearing indicating the occurrence of sickness. These warnings signs in the functional area of the unit are termed as signals. In case these signals are timely identified, detection of sickness become easy. It is clear that the industrial sickness does not occur overnight, but it develops over the years. Before an industrial unit becomes sick, several signals appearing, like first one we have here is underutilization of capacity. If a firm is operating below its break-even point, it is incurring a loss and is bound to grow sick in due courses. The second one is growth of excessive inventories. The growth of excessive inventories of raw materials, goods in process, finished goods, etc. is another important symptom of the industrial sickness. This is due to the failure of the firm to sell the finished goods at the pace it is required to do. Third one is shortage of funds. Shortage of funds to meet the short-term financial obligations of creditors, like bills accepted and checks issued, as well as the statutory obligations, that is taxes, excise duties, etc., is another important symptom of the industrial sickness. The fourth one we have here is huge interest and loan burden. Failure to pay interest on the term loans as well as to repay the loan installment is another symptom of the industrial sickness. Next one we have is low or return on investment, no return on the investment. If the unit is not able to earn adequate profits after making provisions for depreciation, interest on loan, reserves, etc., then it indicates the sign of the sickness. Next we have cash losses and declining liquidity. If the firm is not able to maintain the ratio of current assets to current liabilities at 1:1, then it indicates cash losses and declining liquidity of the firm, and this is an indication of the industrial sickness. As we have already discussed about this that the ideal ratio of any healthy company is current ratio is 2:1, but sick units current ratio is less than 1:1. That is why they are considered as the sick units. Next, irregularity in maintaining bank accounts. An industry is considered as sick when it commits default in the payment of interest or repayment of the loans to bank for more than 180 days. A unit may be considered as sick when it has defaulted the payment of 3 installments. The next one is frequent breakdown. Frequent breakdown in plant and machinery is another important signal of industrial sickness. It is caused by overburden on machines, mishandling of the machines, inferior quality of spare parts, etc. Delay in payment of statutory dues. A small enterprise is considered as sick if it makes any delay or default in the payment of statutory dues such as taxes, excise duties, employees' provident fund contributions, etc. Decline in technical efficiency. The decline in the technical efficiency in the working of the small scale industrial unit is another important signal of its sickness as it adversely affects its profitability. Next we have is frequent labor turnover. The frequent turnover of workers of a small unit is one of the important signals of sickness of the industry. The industrial disputes adversely affect the cordial industrial relations. The main cause of the frequent labor turnover are due to the inability of the industrial unit to meet the legitimate demands of the workers. Next we have the symptoms of industrial sickness. The first one we have here is persistent shortage of cash. Persistent means continuous. Okay. So if the company is facing continuous shortage of cash due to improper handling of resources and management, that would be a main symptom of the industrial sickness. Next we have is widespread use of creative accounting. Creative accounting, what is creative accounting here? Creative accounting is a technique of systematic misrepresentation of true income and assets of corporation or any other organization. So if the industry is oftenly using CA techniques, so that would be a symptom of the industrial sickness. Continuous tumble in the market price of the shares. So continuous tumble here means sudden fall in the value or the amount. In Kannada we call it as biduike. So the indication of an unhealthy unit is continuous fall in the market prices of the shares. Next one we have is frequent request to banks and financial institutions for loans and advances. The units which are unable to maintain the proper financial structure, they often lean to seek the help from the financial institutions for loans and advances. Next we have is delay in the audit of the annual accounts. The companies which are delaying in auditing or verification of their annual accounts, that would be a symptom of the industrial sickness. Next we have is degradation of employees, morale and dispersion among the top and middle level management. Discrimination, undervaluation of employees, that distorts the mortality, right, and change the perception of the employees towards the organization. This creates grievances, clashes in the organization, and that will lead to turnover, and that often turnover leads to sickness of an industry. The next concept we have here is causes of industrial sickness. So what are the causes of industrial sickness? It can be categorized into two. First one is internal cause and second one is external cause. Under internal cause we have inferior quality, poor marketing efforts, faulty capital structure, managerial incompetence, excessive growth of inventories, underutilization of capacity, limited financial base, inadequate margins, long credit period, wrong location. So let us discuss this one by one. First one we have here is inferior quality. Generally, the quality of the products manufactured or of the services rendered by these small scale industries units is inferior when compared to the quality of the products or services of the large scale industrial enterprise. It is due to the fact that small entrepreneurs are more concerned about the quantity of the production rather than the quality of their products or services. This is due to deliberate negligence on the part of the small entrepreneurs. This can be avoided through their conscious awakening. Next, we have poor marketing efforts. So, the small scale entrepreneurs suffer from poor marketing efforts because of their very limited knowledge about the marketing techniques, lack of funds for undertaking widespread advertisement campaign, small quantity of the production, there too much depends on middlemen for the sale of their products, absence of brand names, etc. So most of the small entrepreneurs remain silent with the small amount of profit they earn. Generally, a small entrepreneur depends too much on the middleman for the sale of his products, and he will have no courage to raise his voice against the middleman even though they sell his product under their own brand name and that they generate higher profit than what the entrepreneur himself earns. Such an attitude of the small entrepreneurs is not at all desirable, and by following such attitudes the entrepreneur will never able to survive and grow. The third thing we have here is faulty capital structure. The capital structure here refers to the combination of different type of long-term sources of finance comprising equity shares, preference shares, debentures, etc. Right? In the case of a company, an owned capital and long-term loans from the banks and other financial institutions. In the case of private entrepreneurial enterprises, most of the small entrepreneurs suffers from the problem of faulty capital structure because they are ignorant of current ratio and debt equity ratios. According to the Reserve Bank of India, an enterprise is considered sick if the ratio of the current assets to current liabilities is less than 1:1. So, such a ratio indicates the declining liquidity of the enterprise. If the debt equity ratio is high, it is a signal of bad financial health of the enterprise, which is tending towards sickness. High debt equity ratio indicates that the amount of the debt of the enterprise is far greater than its capital, right? Next one we have is managerial, where are we here? Okay, managerial incompetence. This is the fourth point. Small entrepreneurs suffers from the managerial incompetence. They lack in professional management, and such managerial incompetence is an important cause of sickness. The small entrepreneurs who lack experience and managerial ability fail to perceive things in a proper perspective, and hence they fail in their business also. The fifth point is excessive growth of inventories. Right, this is the fifth point. Excessive growth of inventories of raw materials, goods in process, finished products, etc. leads to blockade of funds which could have been invested in profitable investments. This is due to the failure of the enterprise to sell its finished goods at the pace it is required to do. Such excessive stock of goods can be depreciated by a decline in inventory turnover ratio. It leads to slow moving and non-moving inventory items, which ultimately lead to sickness of the enterprise. Next we have is underutilization of capacity. When the enterprise is operating below its break-even point, that is when it is not able to utilize the capacity of the plant fully, then it would be incurring a loss. Such a situation is bound to grow, ultimately leading to the sickness of the enterprise. Next one is limited financial base. Finance is the life and blood of every business, right? And no business can be conducted smoothly and successfully without adequate finance. But small entrepreneurs have limited finance base to invest. They have to depend upon other for finance. But it is very difficult for them to procure adequate finance in time. This is likely to cause sickness of the enterprise, right? The eighth point here is long credit period. Because of the severe competition from the large scale companies, many times the small entrepreneurs are compelled to sell their goods on credit to their customers and extend this credit period for a long time. But this is sure to adversely affect the liquidity, profitability, and solvency of the small scale industries. Next we have is wrong location. If the enterprise is located away from the market point of view or from the supply of inputs point of view, then such a wrong location causes the sickness of an industry. So all these points are the internal causes of the industrial sickness. Next we have some of the external causes. So external causes are also known as exogenous causes. And these are the causes which are beyond the control of the industry and which usually affects the industry group as a whole. There are several external factors which cause industrial sickness and which may vary, that is which may change from time to time for industry to industry and even from one point of time to another point of time. So what are these points? These are power cuts, non-availability of inputs, competition, government policies, unfair exploitation, lack of infrastructure facilities, problems with financial institutions, incapacity to procure loans or credit, labor problem. Next, last one we have is augmenting working capital. Sorry guys, this is not augmenting, it should be shortage of working capital. I have typed here wrong, sorry for that, but make it shortage of working capital. Okay, so let us discuss this one by one. First one we have here is power cuts. So the most important cause of industrial sickness is inadequate or shortage of power. The frequent power cuts due to shortage of power supply stops the production process and creates many problems, right, for the small scale industries. Next one we have is non-availability of inputs. The non-availability and irregular supply of power, transportation, skilled labor, etc. is another important external cause for the industrial sickness. Next we have is competition. The small scale industries units have to face the severe competition from the large industrial units which enjoy advantage of scales of production, better competitive strength, financial strength, cost effectiveness, etc. Some products have been reserved for the small scale sector by the central government, but there are a number of products which can be produced by both small and large scale sectors simultaneously. This creates unhealthy competition between two sectors and acts as the main cause of the sickness of the small scale industries. Next we have government policies. The frequent changes in the government policies relating to permits, licensing, import, export, interest rate, taxation, credit limits, now it is GST, are most likely to make healthy small units into a sick in short period of time, right? Next we have unfair exploitation. The small units are always subject to unfair exploitation because they depend too much on the mother unit. which is consuming or buying their products, right? But mother unit intentionally encourage the setting up of more than 3 or 4 small units for the supply of the same products. This tendency of the mother units is most likely to affect adversely the small units depending on it. Next we have is lack of infrastructure facilities. Shortage or lack of infrastructure facilities such as shortage of supply power, energy, water, transportation and communication, banking, finance, science and technology, insurance, etc. results in high cost and low profitability, which ultimately leads to sickness of the small industrial units. Next we have problems with the financial institutions. Small entrepreneurs find it very difficult to get loans and advances timely and adequately from the banks and other financial institutions because of lack of knowledge about the loan obtaining procedures. In addition, the financial institutions also cause lot of delay in sanctioning and releasing such loans. They impose various unreasonable and unrealistic conditions relating to security, guarantee, provisions of records related to loans, and thereby increase the problems and difficulty of small entrepreneurs. Therefore, ignorance on the part of the small entrepreneurs complicate procedures, inadequate guidance, non-cooperative attitude, and unfair, sometimes corrupt practices of the financial institutions are also responsible for the sickness of the small units. Next we have incapacity to procure credit. Because of insufficient funds and small purchase due to small scale production, the small entrepreneurs are incapable of getting credit facilities from the suppliers of raw materials and other inputs. They are also not able to get competitive price, higher discount and other concessions from the suppliers since their purchases are small. At the same time, they have to sell their products on credit basis or at the competitive prices, resulting in low margin of the profit. This leads to heavy blockage of whatever funds they have got and small amount of profit. All these problems tend to sickness of the small industrial units. Next we have labor problem. The worker in these days have become stronger because of the various labor legislations and rules and regulations of the government relating to labor. The small entrepreneurs find it extremely difficult to meet the demands of the workers and fulfill the conditions imposed by the government. This results in the occurrence of strikes, lockouts, disputes, higher labor turnover, low productivity, etc. Thus, finally, adverse industrial relation will affect the small units. Last we have is shortage working capital. It is not augmenting. I have typed wrong. So please make the correction. Shortage working capital. The projects of the small scale units are not properly and satisfactorily evaluated by the concerned government officers and the financial institutions. Therefore, the small entrepreneurs suffer considerably because of the inadequate working capital, and they will be compelled to borrow from the market at higher rates of interest. This will increase the cost of production and reduce the margin of the profit. Next we have is effects or consequences of industrial sickness. I'll continue this in the next video. Thank you.